Hey, what's up? If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you are interested in participating in the Gordon and Daxter Speedrun.com challenge. So I'm going to try to quickly walk through the setup in case you're new to OpenGOAL and the mod scene. So the first thing you want to do is go to opengoal.dev. I'll have all the links in the description of the video. And you want to download the OpenGOAL launcher. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. You want to download the launcher for your operating system. I'm not going to go through this whole process here. There's other videos on it. You can also go to documentation and to installation here. There's a video and further notes here if you need more help getting the launcher set up. The one thing I'll just call out up front is you do need to provide your own copy of the JakMods PS2 ISO. It doesn't come with OpenGOAL. We can't distribute copyrighted content, so you have to provide that on your own, and then assets are extracted from that in the OpenGOAL project. Okay, so now assuming you've installed the OpenGOAL launcher and installed JakMods, we need to add the mod list. So the mods don't come with the launcher itself. You have to add a URL that sources the mods. So you can go to the settings icon here, go to mods, and then in this mod source URL, you're going to paste in this URL. Again, it'll be in the description. Also, you can get it from the jakmods.dev website. There's instructions here on how to install it, which is pretty much what I'm going over. The main thing you want to do is click this button, and it's going to copy the URL to your clipboard, or you can get it from the description. You want to paste that in here and hit add. Again, I've already done this, so I'm going to skip that step. Once you've done that, you can go back to the JakMods page and go to features mods, and you should see a list of these are the installed mods. If you haven't installed anything, you'll see a list of available mods. And you want to look for the Gordon and Daxter mod. So you'll click this. Instead of play, it'll stay install, and then you want to install the mod. Okay, before we go too much farther, I want to call out that there have been some crashes on the latest version of this mod. So if you click versions here, you'll see, it depends when this comes out. There may be a new version by then. But this 0.0.11 has been giving some people issues with crashes. I myself haven't been able to get them, so it's been hard for us to debug what's going on. But people have said that version 0.0.10 seems to crash a little bit less. So one thing you might want to do is roll back to this version, which you can do just by clicking this, and it'll install the previous version. Once the previous version's installed, you'll also want to uncheck this box, always use newest. That way you can actually launch the not latest version. One other thing you can try if you are still experiencing crashes is go to Advanced, Open Game Data folder, and you can double click GK and run GK instead of launching it through the launcher. One thing to call out here is this will use a blank settings file, so you will have to go back through and adjust your mouse sensitivity and any keyboard binds or anything like that, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, let's launch the game, and I'll have a few things to show there. Before we launch the mod, I do recommend reading through the controls really quickly. I'll link this README in the description. The game is meant to be played on keyboard and mouse, but you can also use a controller and rebind things as you feel is appropriate. But yeah, maybe worth reading through this so that you know what the different controls are. So now let's launch the game. Okay, so once you've booted up the game, you can hit enter to get to the main menu. We're going to set up a few different options just to make sure that things are consistent and fair for the challenge. So if you go into options here, we'll start with mod options, input options. Here you can adjust keyboard sensitivity, mouse sensitivity, keyboard binds. We recommend Autojump and longjump on. It's probably going to be the most advantageous for this challenge. Yeah, I think the rest is up to you. Under graphic options, you're free to change FOV. This teleport flash effect, it's like a green flashing when you go through the warp gates, might affect somebody with photosensitivity, so you may want to turn this off. And the speed you may want to turn on. It can be useful to know, whether you're efficiently b-hopping or anything like that. Under sound, the sound effects can be pretty loud, the ones that are added in the mods. You may want to turn this down, or you can turn off the HEV suit ones altogether. Under game options, there's a really important one that we need to turn on down here at the bottom. Under miscellaneous, make sure speedrunner mode is on. This is going to enforce that no cheats are enabled. It's going to enforce that The intro cutscene is skipped, otherwise it's like a 5-minute cutscene, which I guess you could skip, but it'll skip that for you automatically. And most importantly, it'll show some text in the bottom left that helps us verify that your settings are correct, which we'll see here in a minute. Back under graphic options, you're free to change resolution and whether you run in 4:3 or 16:9, that's totally up to you. MSAA you can change however you want. Frame rate. So for this challenge, we're capping frame rate at 150. There is a 300 option if your monitor supports it, but it hasn't been well tested and some of the physics may behave differently at 300, so we want to cap it at 150 to keep the challenge fair. I will say the game plays much more smoothly at 150 versus 60, as you can imagine, so if you do have that option, I recommend it. But you're free to play at anything 150 or below. PS2 options. The only thing I would say here is if you have poor performance on your PC, you may want to turn particle culling on. That can help in some cases. I think that's it in terms of settings, so we'll just kick off a new game now. Yeah, so there's the green flash effect I mentioned earlier. So in the center bottom of the screen, you'll see the XCV, that's your speed. And then in the bottom left is the verification text that I mentioned earlier. This will go away once you collect an orb or a power cell or a scout fly. So it's just there at the beginning of the run to make sure that your settings are correct. Yeah, I think that's it about this. The other thing I want to call out is if you hold backspace and press escape, you get this speedrun options menu. This is just a quick way to quickly reset. You know, if you're halfway through the run and you make a big mistake and you want to start over, you can use this menu to quickly reset and go back to the start. Whoops, that's not the button combo. I think that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments on the video and I'll try to respond. And good luck with the challenge. Okay, after recording this, I thought of some more advanced topics to cover, so that's what I'm going to be going over now. One thing I want to call out is that there's a debug mode of OpenGOAL that you can run that helps show load triggers and different things like that. So you can go to advanced and play in debug mode, and if you click this, it'll launch the game in debug mode. Now you'll notice in debug mode you spawn somewhere else. This is a custom level that MFO has added to the mod. You can play around here, but it doesn't really affect anything for the actual run. One other way you can get into debug mode, and you can do this from a normal OpenGOAL session as well, is you can press left Alt, and you'll get this toolbar here at in the top left. You can click debugging, and reboot in debug mode, and this will also reboot you in debug mode just like this. So if you hold period and press escape, you'll get the debug menu here. You can use the arrow keys to navigate this. A couple useful menus here under game continue. You can use this to jump around to different continue points in the game. Pretty useful. Use backspace to go backwards in this menu. And the other things I want to show you are under the display menu. If you go down to the bottom here, load boundaries and level border can be useful. So let's start with level border actually. Now there's two lines shown at the top that will show you what levels are loaded and what levels are displayed. So the way that the Jak engine works is levels are loaded into memory before they're actually shown to the user, and only once they're fully loaded, a different trigger will actually set them to display. So in this case, there's only one level, Crossfire, and it's already displayed. If let's jump to Village 1 Hut. So you'll see right now we have Village 1 and Beach loaded. Village 1 is displayed, but Beach is not displayed. That's what the F stands for false there. As I get closer to the beach level, it will display the beach, display no wait. And so the beach level's over there. As I walk over towards the Fire Canyon or jungle levels, it's going to load one of those. Yeah, so now it's loaded in jungle. And now it's just displaying jungle. So if you want to see exactly where these different load triggers are, That's what the load boundaries option here is for. It's definitely a little cluttered on screen, as you can see. But you'll see as I pass through this one, I think it will hide jungle. Yeah, so this is the one that hides and displays jungle depending on which way you pass through it. I'm guessing this one is what loads and unloads jungle. Oh, let's go here, it'll load Fire Canyon. And if we go through this one, it'll load jungle instead. So this might be useful. This might be useful if you want to test like how to do certain skips to get around different obstacles and still hit the load triggers. The other thing I wanted to mention is we do have some rudimentary save states that you can use only in debug mode. So if you hold tab and press enter, it'll set a save state. And then if you hold tab and press backspace, it'll take you back to that save state. So this might be useful if you're just practicing one specific trick and you want to like reset to a common point every time. There's definitely other useful stuff in the debug menu, you know, feel free to look through it on your own, but I think those are the key things that might be useful for learning how to do the no LTS run. So hope that helps. Again, if you have questions, feel free to leave comments and I'll try to answer things. Cheers.